Hey, hey, it's Jess here, Time Order Purpose Organizing, and today is Ask the Organizer. And so I'm going to give a few minutes so that we can hopefully get some viewers on here to ask some questions, and otherwise I will be happy to just kind of give some general tips and ideas of how we can better organize our homes and life, because it's twofold, right? We don't ever just get to work in one realm or the other. They're all tied together. So if we're working on physical stuff, we're generally going to end up working on emotional and mental as well. And, there's the different realms of the physical stuff, as in your actual stuff, your body, kind of all of those different things. So we're just going to hang out for a few minutes here and wait and see if we get any viewers on. And let's see if we can post in the Facebook group that we are live and to hop on when people are ready. Let's see here. All right. So again, we're just going to hang out here for a few minutes. I'm hanging in my comfy chair today. And so, yeah, just hanging out, and we'll give it a few minutes before we jump into anything. So if you're going to be watching the recording of this, kind of just fast forward a little bit to probably like 2 or 3 minutes, and we will get started just around the like 7. Well, I guess you won't be watching it at a time frame, but so 2-3 minutes in, fast forward a little bit. That way you don't have to sit here and stare at me in silence. And hopefully we'll get some viewers on here so that we can get some questions rolling. So I have a few events coming up that I want to share with everybody. Tomorrow I will be a vendor at the Downsizing Fair at the Apex Center in Arvada. And so that is generally like a 55 and up community-based event, but it should be really fun and exciting. We're going to have some games. You have to stop and talk to all the different vendors in order to win some prizes. I'll be hosting a prize as well, so if you know anybody in that process of just needing to let go of things or downsize into a smaller home, definitely let them know about that event. That's going to be running from 8:30 to 11:30, again at the Apex Center in Arvada, basically 68th and Wadsworth. On Thursday, I will be giving a talk to the West Denver Metro Association of Realtors chapter, and so I'll be doing somewhere between a 15 and 30-minute presentation, very similar to this evening, just basic organizing tips, answering questions about how realtors can help their clients better organize their home and getting ready for a sell or staging and all of those types of things. And then I'm really excited about a new potential business partnership that I have coming starting on Friday, where I'll be working with an event coordinator for corporate events, doing kind of team building and leadership type of things. And so we're going to be working together on an event on Friday where we get to work with a bank, and we're going to do this fun activity, and they have to utilize different types of communication skills in order to get through the program. And so I'll be doing a lot of the educational talking portion of that, guiding the discussions, and I'm really excited for that. And on Sunday, I'm hosting a vision board workshop down in Littleton. So lots of stuff going on, really exciting. So if you know anybody that is in need of a speaker or wants to host a vision board workshop, totally be happy and excited to do that for you. And so it is about 7:35 now, and I'm just going to jump right into some tips that I have for people in organizing, because we don't have any viewers on yet for questions, and I'll just keep popping in here and there to the Facebook group to see if anybody has left questions or anything like that for us to answer, just in case they weren't able to make it this evening. So when I do organizing, a lot of times there are multiple people that are using the space that I'm organizing, right? So the biggest thing to keep in mind is that we have to work together as a team. And that can be very difficult because we all have different ways of thinking, different ways of learning, different ways of communicating. And if we're not careful, our whole systems are going to be set up completely different, and it's not going to be user-friendly to everybody that needs to use the area. Think about, if you've ever moved into a house with somebody and tried to set up your kitchen, you have one way of doing it and they have another, and for at least the first month or so, it's really difficult to find anything because you're trying to either go by the other person's organization or finding some sort of mix between the two, but not necessarily having a good idea of how to do that. And so when we are organizing for multiple people, teamwork is super important, and that goes into so many different things like communication and understanding different love languages and communication styles, thinking styles, learning styles, because when we keep all of these things into consideration, then we can set up a system that really works well to meld all of the different people involved. Sorry, that's the dog in the background. The other doggy just left, and he's sad. With that, you want to make sure that you're working towards each person's strengths. Excuse me. Kane, knock it off. Sorry about that. Gotta love our animals, right? So, definitely keep teamwork in mind. And that goes, on a grander scale, you have to work together. If it's a household, one person cannot stay organized for everybody. Everybody has to be involved in that process and helping in maintaining it, because staying organized can be a job for, multiple people, and to just leave all of that on one person can be very frustrating, overwhelming, difficult, and oftentimes not able to be maintained. So if you have a household where there's multiple people in the household, get every single person's input and get them involved in the organization process, whether they're 2 or 100. 100 may be a little bit difficult if they're having, health and all that type of problems, but as long as people are able to get around and, all that good stuff, they should be able to help at least on some level. I have a really great picture that has, kind of the breakdown of what are some good chores for each of the different children's age ranges. So like 2 and 3, or 1 to 2 years old, and 3 to 4 years old, and 5 to 7 years old, and these types of things. And I think some people look at it and they go, really? But I can tell you for myself, I was doing most of the things that you can check off on those lists at those ages. So have faith in your children. They're much more capable than we give them credit for. And even if things don't come out as perfectly as we would like, we can always go back and fix it when they're not looking. So keep that in mind. With that being said, one of my most favorite tips around organization is really the 1% change. Kane, stop it. Lay down. Sorry. We have a big puppy. And he's sad because his friend just left. So one of the things that, hey, get your head out of here. One of the things that I really encourage people to do is to keep in mind that we can't accomplish too many things all at once. We can have everything that we want. We just can't have it all right now. And we need to keep that in mind, right? Because how often do you see people at New Year's, they're like, I'm going to quit smoking, I'm going to give up sugar, I'm going to exercise every day, and I'm going to call my mom once a week. And none of these are things that they have done for months or if ever. And all of a sudden they're trying to change their entire lifestyle. And it's so unsustainable because most people don't focus on their why, and they go too big too quickly. It's wonderful to want to have all of these big goals, and I encourage you to have these huge goals and to work hard towards them. But I encourage you even more to think realistically. Hey, who jumped on? Tell me who's on here. How's it going? I'm just chatting and hoping that some people have some questions. So I see we have somebody in here. Feel free to type in the chat who it is. Say hi. I would love to know who's on here with me. If you have any questions, tonight is really all about answering the questions that you have. So if you have any questions about your home, about your life, about your paperwork, how to organize it, I would be happy to go over that with you. So I was just talking about some of my general tips, the first one being teamwork, the second being 1% changes. So instead of trying to change 5 things on a complete extreme, how we can still do those 5 things, but try on smaller steps. And so if you're the type of person that regularly loses your keys all the time, what is a small change that you can do to keep that from happening? Are you the type of person that drops them as you come in? Do you hold on to them? Keep those things in mind. So if you're the type of person that just kind of drops them on the table when you come in, perhaps you can put a bowl on the table. Perhaps you can put a hook right next to the table. And, even if you only get them there 4 out of 7 days a week, that's still a great improvement. I've met some people that they often use their keys as a source to help them remember things. So if they need to remember to grab their lunch, they put their keys on their lunch in the refrigerator. Or if they need to remember homework, they put their keys on the homework. Okay, thanks for jumping on, whoever that is. Want to let me know who you are in the chat. So 1% changes are really a big thing that I work in helping people establish, like, how do we set those up? What does that look like? And a lot of times it's really great because we end up with this really amazing curve, right? We have these small, tiny changes, and it goes up, but like so minutely, and then eventually the curve just happens to go way up in the air because all of those small, tiny changes that we were making add up and they multiply. So they don't just add on top of each other, they ultimately multiply, which is amazing. Hey there, how's it going? Who just jumped on? Let us know in the chat who you are, where you're coming from, and if you have any questions. And so my third tip around organizing is to purge. And this one is, I'm sure everybody expects it to come, but we are a society that just has way too much stuff. We hold on to things for really silly or no reasons at all. And we need to learn to let go of things. And that is physically, mentally, emotionally, there's so much stuff that we hold on to. We need to learn to let go. And so how do we do this? There's a lot of ways and things that we can let go of, right? You know, getting rid of our stuff that doesn't fit, that's broken, that we haven't used in years. Excuse me. Kane, stop it. Sit down. Excuse me. Crazy puppy over there. So, you know, we're so hesitant to get rid of things, and a lot of us hold on to stuff because our grandmother gave it to us or a best friend gave it to us, but we haven't looked at it in years. We haven't used it ever, and it's so silly. It's really silly to hold on to something that doesn't give us ultimate joy, doesn't enrich our life somehow, or doesn't have an immediate and specific purpose. So those are the three things that I really focus on when working with any of my clients of why we're able to hold or should hold on to something. And that goes for the physical thing, whether it's a desk or the memory or the emotion, whatever it is. There's three things that need to be in place, or one of three things that needs to be in place in order for us to have a reason to keep something. Ultimately, it needs to bring us joy. It should enrich our lives, or it should have an immediate and specific purpose. So I'm going to use this in the next month for this. That's an immediate and specific purpose. Now I understand there's certain items, if you have room and you only use it once a year, I get it. I will let those have a pass. But if you don't have room for these things and you only use them once a year, is there some other way to store them, borrow them, or something along those lines where you don't have to store it in your house? Purging can be so freeing because you're not just letting go of the stuff. And I think this is the part, no, I know this is the part that scares most people, is it's not necessarily about the stuff, right? It's not about the clothes or the furniture or whatnot. It's about what they mean to us, or the idea of being able to have and hold on to things. That's what our stuff is, right? It's not necessarily like this specific chair. Although for me, this specific chair, this nice big awesome black chair that I am in, has traveled with me for 10 years almost. I bought it as part of a set, and very often the couch and the love seat were stored away, and this chair has come with me to every single place that I have lived, or just thereabout. And I recently sold the couch and love seat, but I was like, nobody can have my chair because I love this chair, and it's honestly the only furniture I have in my living room right now. So it's simple things, and I'm not telling you to get rid of everything. I believe we should have stuff, but we have to beware because humans are often like lizards in that we grow to our surroundings. So if you put a lizard in a tank this big, he's only going to grow to be that big to fit into that tank. But if you put a lizard in a tank this big, he's going to grow to be that big, and so on and so on and so on. And we do the same things. So if we're in a 500 square foot apartment, we're going to fill that apartment. We're going to have the furniture and the decorations and all that to fill that apartment. If out of magic, we automatically get to move into a 5,000 1,000 square foot house, 10 times more space. It may take us a little while, but give us some time and we will absolutely find a way to fill that space up. And we need to be careful about that because oftentimes we get caught up in having stuff. But what does that stuff actually do for us versus, what problems does it cause in our life? Think about all of the extra cleaning you have to do, the extra dusting you have to do. If you ever need to move, you have to take all of that stuff with you or find something to do with it. And there's just so many things that really can be negative about having stuff, just as there are so many things that can be positive about stuff. So I challenge you to find that balance between the things that you have. And as a reminder, does each item bring you joy? Does it enrich your life somehow? And enrichment is a kind of a big word. So it could be, does it make your body better? Does it make your mind better, your heart, your soul? How does it make you better? And lastly, does it have an immediate and specific purpose? I have a client who collects jeans for a project that she's been planning to do for a very long time, and the plan is not going to happen for at least 5 years out. So we regularly fight over whether or not it's ever going to get done. And so this is one I haven't quite yet given up on, but it's definitely not one that I dig deep into because she's very determined that she's going to do this project when her life settles down. Whatever that looks like. And so there's all sorts of things to consider when we're purging things. And again, I'm not asking or telling you to get rid of all your stuff. By no means is that what I want for you. Enjoy your stuff, but just that. Make sure you're enjoying it. Don't just have it to fill a room. Don't just have it because somebody gave it to you and you can't get rid of it. Love the stuff that you have and embrace it and enjoy it as much as you can. And with that, the next tip would be to have small projects. Far too often, most of us get overwhelmed because we look at a space and we go, oh my God, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do this. And most of that comes from looking at the big picture, right? We look at it and we go, I'm never going to be able to finish this in one sitting. I'm never going to, and that one sitting then turns into like ever. We go, I'm never going to be able to finish this. And instead of putting one sitting there, it in our heads becomes ever because it's so overwhelming and we don't know where to start. And there's just so much stuff that we feel frozen. And honestly, as a professional organizer, I go into people's homes and sometimes I have that problem myself of, okay, what is going to be the best use of our time? Where is going to be the most powerful start for these people? Because there's so much stuff that, if you're only there for 3 hours, are you even going to be able to make a dent? And the thing that I can suggest the most is to encourage you to just have small projects. And so if you're looking at your room and you have a desk and the desk has 4 drawers and then you have 2 filing cabinets and a couple shelves and the floor and all of this stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start. Write down each big item and then break it down. So each shelf or a part of a shelf or each drawer or half of a drawer, and break it down into bite-sized pieces, right? So it's very difficult for us to get a few hours to be able to spend on a big project because we all have so many things going on. There's so many things pulling at our attention, distractions and work and community and our finances, and just we're constantly going in 800 different directions. So to get 30 minutes is sometimes a big deal for people, never mind 3 hours. And so my goal with the small projects is to be able to break things down into that 15, 20, maybe 30-minute increment of, I can get this one drawer done in 30 minutes. No problems, no questions asked. And yes, doing it that way, you're going to end up with little piles of like, this goes somewhere else, but I haven't gotten to that drawer yet. Or, I'm seeing multiples of these, so I think they should really all go together and find a new home and those types of things. But as long as you can make progress and continue to make progress, even in those tiny little increments, remember, it's all about 1% changes. So if you can make these small changes that multiply, you're going to see really amazing results down the line. Because one drawer, you may get, moving in the motion, and the more you do it, the quicker you get, and the quicker your decision process is made, and you can just be quicker about it, and things are going to get done faster, and then you're going to be able to feed on the momentum, because you're going to be able to see the top of your desk, and you're going to be able to keep the top of your desk clear, and recognize why you started creating these patterns, or what are the patterns you're creating, and you can start to look at the different ways to stop those patterns from happening again. Because that's the biggest part about organization, right? We can all get organized once, and it can stay that way for a few weeks, a few months, but can we keep it that way? Are you okay over there, Kane? Can you hear him? Silly dog. I apologize about that. So I really encourage you to break down your projects, keep them bite-sized so that you can do them, like a load of dishes. You have 30 minutes. Let's just get this done. And they add up, and the changes do happen. And yes, it may take a little bit of time if you're doing it that way, but the problem wasn't built in a day, and the solution isn't going to happen in a day. Not unless you're willing to put a lot of money and time and effort into it and bring in a big, huge team that's going to come and help you, which, is great, but we have to recognize where our problems are and how they got there in order to be able to fix them. So if you just have somebody coming in and cleaning up your stuff for you, you're never going to really get to the bottom of it. You're never going to find an actual solution. Excuse me. Come here. Come here. Sit down. If you want to see the dog. This is Kane. Say hi, Kane. This is the one that's crying. Yes, you are. Okay, down you go. Down you go. Down. Sorry about that. So, live video. It always goes one way or another. So, yeah, these are some of my favorite tips, working in teamwork, the 1% changes, purging small projects, and one of the biggest things that I work with all of my clients on is really establishing a vision. Because, like, one of my favorite quotes is by, oh gosh, now I'm not going to remember his name, but he says something along the lines of, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else. And it's so true, because if we don't have a destination in place, we can end up anywhere. And, even sometimes when we do have a destination, we don't end up there, but at least we have like a compass and a guiding light heading us in the right direction. Excuse me. And so The vision for me is probably one of the most important parts in making organizations stick. Kind of like I said with the New Year's resolutions, we have that why thing, right? Unless we have a really big why of why we're doing this, why we're making these changes, why we need it to stick and be sustained and maintained, it doesn't necessarily happen. And the same exact thing goes for organizing. If you don't know who you are, who you want to be, and where you want to go, you're never going to be able to tie in organization into making that happen. And organization is really one of the things that gets you there. So if we have a chaotic and cluttered life, we cannot focus properly on the places we want to go. We cannot commit our time and energy and attention to the places that we want to go. Once we can get organized, once we can put some systems into place, once we can have good foundation to work off of, possibilities are endless. Because if we are managing our time and managing our goals and our visions and all of these different things, because it's never just about our time, it's never just about our efforts or our action, it's always a package deal. It's whole life, right? There's 9 million distractions. As adults, we make 35,000 decisions every single day. There's a lot going on up there that sometimes we just lose a little bit of control of all of that. When you have to make that many decisions, it's super easy to just kind of not want to make any more decisions, right? It's super easy to want to just take a nap or curl in a ball or stop adulting. I'm not going to lie, I really do enjoy some of those memes out there about I give up adulting today. I saw one today that was like, I put down my reign of adulting. All decisions are going to be made by the eeny, meeny, miny, mo method, and fights are going to be handled with me sticking out my tongue. And I was like, that's awesome. Sometimes we do just want to stop adulting. Sometimes we do just want to let go. And not that I encourage that. We're adults. We have to do what we have to do. Hey, who's on here? I just saw a new viewer on here. Feel free to write in the chat and say hi and let me know if you have any questions about organizing. This is Ask the Organizer. I'm just chatting because there's not too many viewers on here today or people asking questions, but I'd love to answer any questions you have about time management, organizing your closet, your garage, your attic, your kids, whatever you need. I'm here to assist you. So today, being that this is our first recorded broadcast, I was on last month and totally forgot to hit the start recording or start broadcasting button, so that stinked. But since this is our first broadcast for sure, I am just going over some basic organizing tips that I love to share. The first being, make it a team effort. You have to do teamwork in order to maintain organization. It's not just up to one person, especially if you live in a household or a business or an office where there's multiple people utilizing the space and area and all of that good stuff. The second is 1% changes. So how do we make small incremental changes that multiply on each other and create these big, huge changes? So small, tiny adjustments to make big, big changes. The second one, or the third one, excuse me, is purging, and that's not surprising coming from an organizer, but it's not about getting rid of everything. It's about finding and embracing the things that you truly enjoy and love and cherish, and making sure that those are highlighted in your life and that you utilize them and give them the time and attention that they deserve as items that we love, because far too often we just have stuff to have stuff, You know, think about all of the free t-shirts and hats and keychains and all this stuff, and we take it because it's free and we love free. But what does that mean to you? And is that important? And should it still be laying around your house if it doesn't have a specific and immediate need, or if it's not bringing you joy or enriching your life somehow? So getting rid of stuff is important. It creates a new cycle and creates renewing energy and all of that type of stuff. So, hey, I keep seeing somebody pop on here. I would love for you to jump in the chat and introduce yourself and tell me where you're coming from. And so we have teamwork, we have 1% changes, we have purge, and we have small projects, which is really all about breaking down that big, like scary room into small, manageable, bite-sized projects. So whether it's a drawer or a shelf or part of a shelf, or this much of the closet bar or all of the shirts. One thing I didn't go into earlier was that with the small projects, you can kind of set it by category too. So I'm going to find all of the pens and make sure all of the pens work in the house and put them all in one place. Or I'm going to go through all of my tops today. Or if tops is too big, maybe I'm going to go through all of my tank tops, all of my socks, all of the pots and pans, or all of the plates, whatever it is. You can go by category, canned goods, or canned vegetables and canned fruits, and you can do it that way instead of by place too, which helps you collect it all into one place. But if you don't have the space to do that, you may just have to go by area versus category. And the last one that I was talking about, which for me is one of the most important ones, is vision. And that's really all about understanding your why. So who are you? Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Once you know those things and you're solid and concrete in that information, it's going to be so much easier for the things that you want in life to stick around. And that goes for your healthy eating and exercise habits. It goes for your organization. It goes for keeping better relationships. It goes for your business skills. Once you understand your why, to why you're doing something, why you want to do it, why is it important to you to do these things, you're going to be able to stick with it for that much longer and to use that as your driving force. And to know where you're going is so vitally, vitally important, because I used the quote earlier of, if we don't know where we're going, we might end up someplace else. And there are some people out there that are totally fine with that. I just don't happen to be one of them. I have a friend, bless him so immensely. He is absolutely one of my heroes, because he just loves to go. He's done the Continental Divide Trail and another trail, and he just goes wherever his heart and his life takes him at the moment. And I honor that about him, because I am much more secure. And yes, I've made some big moves and done some big things in my life just kind of on whims. Please stop it, Kane. Puppy. We have a sad puppy here. I'm sorry for the loud noises. And so, when we know who we are and who we want to be, because a lot of times those are two separate things. Even on the path through our growth, we're here today, but we always know that we want to be here, or actually for you in the screen, it's here today. We always want to be over here, in some given amount of time. We, at least for the people that I surround myself with, we always want to be growing. We always want to be thriving. We always want to be becoming a better person day after day after day. That's the whole point, right? To become a better person. So how do we do that? And if we're not doing that, what's wrong in our life? How do we fix that? And where do we go? And some people are okay not having their destination, but I think for the most part, most of us want to at least have some idea of what we want out of our life and where we're going to end up, or what that looks like or feels like. And so one of the things I had mentioned earlier, that Monday I'm doing a vision board workshop, and this is such a huge part of what I do as an organizer, because I believe it's absolutely vital to understand those things. Like, what do you want out of life? What do you want to create in order for organization to actually play its part? Because organization is so much more than things having a home. And that's the basis of it, right? Everything that I have has a place to go and gets back in its place. But by doing that, you create so much more. You create more time. You create more order. You are able to open up doors to passion and purpose. And these things that are created through organization are ultimately what get you to your dream, to your vision, what help you realize that. By being organized in life, being organized in home, being able to find things and pay your bills on time, and um, being organized in business and being able to stay on top of your customers and give them what they need, and pay your taxes on time, or whatever it looks like. All of these things help you grow, and it's tiny little things that just multiply time and time and time again to get you these big, huge, amazing results. And so if you haven't figured out your vision yet, that is really where I would say focus on. And most people will probably go, what is wrong with this lady? She's crazy. What does vision and who I want to be have anything to do with the piles of paperwork I have on my desk? Well, those piles are going to regularly come back. They're going to continually exist until you understand why they can't. Until you understand why it is so vitally important for you to reach your goals, which means not having to sift through all of that paper, not having to, struggle to find things, not having to waste your time, energy, and attention on things that are not serving you. Sorry, the dog totally made me lost my train of thought. Um, so when these things are not serving you, then you know that where and how you can make changes in order to get you back on the right path. And that is really my biggest thing. And so now that I've shared my top 5 tips with you, I'll share a little bit of what I'm going to talk about on Thursday. So I had put this out to the West Denver Metro chapter, which is where I'll be speaking on Thursday morning, and somebody had asked me about closets. And it was very interesting because immediately, the question went into, what does she need to buy and how much does it need to cost? And if anything, the biggest thing that I would say is you have to go back to that purging thing and the small projects, right? So when we're in our closet and it's stuffed to the brim and exploding out on us, we really have to stop and look at those clothes. How many of them are you wearing? Are you only wearing 25% of your wardrobe? Are you the type of person that likes to continually have renewing things in there and not wear the same thing over and over again? If that's the case, that's fine. But if you know that about yourself, then you need to also recognize that you need to be letting go of things on a regular basis as you're bringing things in. I have, the in and out rule. So if you have a lot of things, if it's exponential amounts of things that you have right now, consider going for everything that comes in to have to go out. And it doesn't have to be the same time. Like, just because you bring in a shirt doesn't mean you need to get rid of 2 shirts. You can get rid of a shirt and a pants, 2 pants, whatever. You can set your own parameters around that. But if you're someone that is having issues with a lot of stuff, the in and out rule is fabulous to institute so that you're not adding to the collection. Yes, you can get new stuff. Yes, you can bring new things into the house. But keep in mind that every time you do that, you need to let something go. And with our closets, I think that's something really big. And, in our society, we're also weight driven and very much concerned about our looks and how we weigh and, all of the feelings that come with that. And, I'm holding on to clothes, 5 size ranges because my body weight fluctuates so much. And I encourage you to not do that. Because if you have the bigger sizes, you're going to allow your body to flex up into that. And the smaller sizes, well, yeah, keep one and maybe 2 sizes below, but nothing more than that, because it's not healthy for you to do that to your body, to lose that much weight, to shift, 4 sizes below. And, by the time you're back into those clothes, sorry about the shaking, there's a good chance you're going to be out of style, or you're not going to like them, or they're just not going to fit your body properly. As I was talking about most of our other stuff, our clothes need to bring us joy. They need to make us feel good. We all have those clothes. Like, I bought this sweater and I absolutely love it. And it's not that it necessarily I see myself in it and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks awesome. But it feels good. It's comfortable, and I'm a creature of comfort. I love to be comfortable, and it's casual enough that I can wear it out, but it's nice enough that I can technically wear it to like a business meeting, and it's wonderful to me, right? And then we have those clothes where we're like, oh, I really don't want to wear that skirt today. It rides up and it's itchy, and every time and we just get that feeling before we even put it on. Those are the articles you need to let go of. Just let them go. Give them to somebody in need. You can consign your clothes if they're in good shape and of a decent style range. You can donate, your business clothes to Women for Success or something like that. If you're interested in that, email me, jessica@toporganizing.com. I can get you that fundraiser. But they provide business clothes to abused and battered and women who've been in shelters, who don't have the money, who need to find themselves jobs but don't have the clothing to do it. You can give to a homeless shelter. There's so many different ways that you can put your clothes, your anything, your furniture, your furnishings to good use, to people in need, or to even get some money back for them, whatever place you're in, whatever you mentally, physically, and emotionally need to do with that stuff, there's always options. If you just need to get rid of it, ARC, Salvation Army, all of those places, they do pickups. You can call them. They'll come to your house and take it away for you, so you don't even have to deal with that. I love personally donating to the homeless shelters because those people get immediate use out of that stuff. They don't have to purchase it. They don't need to jump through hoops. They can literally go in, pick out what they need, and utilize it, which is very important for me, because part of my backstory is that we were so poor when I was younger. I mean, I remember going to the church to get food and standing in line for, our state food and things along those lines, and it breaks my heart a little bit because we couldn't even go to the Salvation Army to buy that $7 shirt. Like, it was a treat to go to the secondhand store and get new clothes. And so to have the opportunity to give to those people that are in need the way that we needed, we were a family. My mom was a single mom with 4 kids. Like, there was a lot of need there. And we had amazing grandparents who helped out a lot. And my dad, was in our lives and he helped out on his side of things. But it didn't negate the need that we had. There was always that fear of never having enough. And so I can totally understand why people hold on to things, when they didn't have any, because I didn't have very much growing up. We definitely got by, and you know, I didn't have to live in a box or anything, but um, we felt the struggle for sure. And um, it's just, there's so many things that you can do with your stuff. If you don't love and appreciate your stuff, give it to somebody who's going to. And so with closets, the first thing you have to do is you have to go through, you have to touch every single thing, take it all out of there, empty out the closet, take everything out. And if you can only do it in stages, do it in stages. Do your short sleeve shirts, do your long pants, do your skirts, do all of those things separately. Do your high heels, do your sneakers. You can separate it and break it down into those smaller projects, but you have to go through everything. You need to touch everything, because everything has its own energy. It has its own being about it, and you're going to know whether or not you want to keep it or not. And be quick with your decision. Keep, get rid of, and there's plenty of options. Get rid of, donate, sell, toss for those items that are just in really bad shape. Although there are some services out there that just take textiles, so clothing, furnishings, all of that type of stuff. They'll take the textiles even if they're in really bad shape. So you may want to consider. I know that Washington, California, I forget the other states, but there's a couple other states that definitely have that type of service out there. So I highly encourage you to check those out. But go through those things and have your piles, and then have an I don't know pile. It's totally okay to have an I don't know pile when you're sorting through stuff. And it's okay to put it aside. Like, if you just really cannot decide on something, put it aside. Don't put it back in the closet. Just find a little corner for it and try it on. So especially with clothing, if you are uncertain about something, the thing to do is you need to try on, your favorite sweater, your favorite whatever that type of item is that you have in question, whether it's a dress or pants or whatever, and try on one that you love and you feel good in and everything just feels right. And then try on that article of clothing. And if it doesn't make you feel like the article that you love, then let it go, because it's all about the joy. And if it's more about the sentimental value than the actual article, there's some great things you can do with it. I just did a blog post, toporganizing.com/blog, about what to do when you get stuck in nostalgia. And so one of the great tips that I give people is, if you have like a whole bunch of old t-shirts, make a blanket out of them. Or, if you have a few things from like this particular time in your life or a particular event or anything along those lines, create a shadow box and cut off the piece of the t-shirt and put in the lighter and put in the concert tickets, or whatever. Collect all of those items and create a nice little collage for it and hang it on your wall, because that way your memories are being seen and interacted with every day, and it's a great conversation piece in your home. And then you get to remember those things and tell those stories and keep that memory alive. Whereas if that t-shirt's just sitting in a drawer somewhere, or those tickets are shoved in a pile of memories somewhere that you never even looked at, what purpose are they serving for you? How much joy are they really bringing you? So if you can create amazing, beautiful, creative artists art out of the things that you have memories for, and save yourself a little space, why not? Why not hold on to the memory, do wonderful things with it, and also regain some space. So those are my big tips and some shared ideas about what to do. Sorry, the dog is leaning on the computer. What to do with you know, a closet, if you are in the process of having to do that, you know, organization starts, unfortunately, with a little bit of purging usually. And from there, there's all sorts of tips of, you know, how you can hang things. I generally hang longest to the left and shortest to the right, and I personally color code and put it, you know, all of my tank tops together, all of my short sleeves, my 3/4, my long sleeves, my sweaters, my zip ups, you know, kind of all of that stuff. But it just really depends upon your style and how much you want to go into it and how well you're going to maintain it. Of course, if you do it like out of the magazine and make everything look perfect, you'll probably feel better. You'll probably enjoy the feel of it. But are you going to maintain it? And so April 30th is National Honesty Day, and I've been challenging people to be honest with themselves about that. About your standards and expectations. If you are the type of person that really, really, really wants your house to look like that of a magazine all the time, but you know, you have 3 jobs, 5 kids, 3 dogs, and you know, you're not making any of them help out, is that really realistic right now? Might be down the road if you can get everybody involved and incorporate that teamwork aspect. But as of right now, is it realistic? Are you being honest with yourself about what you can create in your home? So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, if you would like some answers on any sort of organizing issues, please feel free to reach out to me, Jessica at toporganizing.com. I will be doing the Ask the Organizer on the 4th Tuesday of every month live here on Google Hangouts until we get too big for that. So I would love for you to join me. I would love for you to ask questions. If you can't be live, feel free to you know, shoot me some questions before we get live, and I'll be happy to answer those. Hopefully next month I won't be having a whining dog in the background and not be so distracted. But regardless, I hope you have a fabulous evening, or if you're watching the replay, a wonderful day wherever you are. And I look forward to chatting soon. Again, you can find me, Jessica, at toporganizing.com, or on Facebook, Jess Nowell, JessNowell, or Top Organizing, TOPORGANIZING. Thanks so much. Have a great night.